Welcome, everyone. Dr. Anthony Criniti IV here, also known as Dr. Finance. You're on the Dr. Finance Live podcast. We got an amazing guest today, folks. We got Cherie Mathews here. Cherie is an amazing person. She got so many aspects that we're going to talk about. She's a former IBMer, specializing in computer engineering and technology, and so many other things. She worked with NASA, 20-year breast cancer survivor. She has a Texas-based company we're going to learn all about. So let's give a warm welcome to Cherie Mathews. Welcome, Cherie. How are you?
Thank you. I'm super blessed to be here and honored. Thank you.
Thank you, Cherie. Appreciate that. So, Cherie, we're going to get started first, if we can, with a quick 30-second snapshot. If you can explain yourself a little bit better than me, summarize your accomplishments, and then we're going to get into your story as well and get much deeper with that. But let's do a quick 30-second snapshot real quick. So,
sure.
Cherie, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So, yes, a former IBM computer engineering. I had special projects in NASA, so basically a problem solver. I was raised with my father, so he taught me how to solve problems. I went into teaching, and through the teaching, we'll talk a little bit about what I co-pioneered to help inner city children. That's been an exciting outcome. And then, unfortunately, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I turned a bad thing into a good thing for others, and I'll go into a little bit detail. So I call myself a cancerpreneur. So I took the cancer journey and turned it into an entrepreneur journey. And so then I give back. I speak to young people, colleges, and actually even international speaking about how I bootstrapped my business as kind of like a side hustle, but actually really helped a lot of people. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Cherie. Appreciate that. So, Cherie, I'd love to get into your story. Where are you originally from?
Originally from Canada.
Oh, okay. Wow. So you want to tell us a little about your childhood, maybe your first 10 years?
Yes. Well, my childhood pretty much all dial in. My mother went off to Woodstock and, a free spirit, very creative. She was a model. She's beautiful and wonderful. And my dad was very much a businessman, real estate. And then he started building houses. He turned an architect and a builder. And they separated because in the times where free stuff and free living and then getting down to business and raising the family and stuff, they just didn't see eye to eye, even though they were best friends. So I was raised by my father, and my dad, I'm sure, was a special brain because not only I came home from school one day and it was snowing in April, and he had beautiful tulips and there was snow on the tulips. And he said, tell your teachers tomorrow that you're moving to Florida. So we uprooted our whole family and everything we did because there was snow on the tulips in April. So that's kind of my dad. I guess you could call it ADD impulsive, but he was a very brilliant man.
So you moved to Florida. He didn't like the cold. He wanted to get to the warmer weather, I guess, right?
No more snow on tulips. I don't even know that he didn't like cold. It was just about no more snow on tulips. He's not having it anymore.
That was the last straw.
Yeah, that's it. Snow just broke my tulip heads. I'm out. I'm out of here.
That's funny. So what happened? How old were you when you moved to Florida?
Well, I think I was 14. We moved into Florida, and he then, we applied for citizenship. It took almost like 7 years, an investment of millions of dollars, actually. And then from a Canadian, from Canada, back in the day, I don't know how it is now, but you had to basically establish why you're special to be in the US because you're coming from a wealthy country. So it's like, you don't need to be in here. Like, you can be in your own country. So that's how it was back in the day. And so then we became citizens, and I'm a proud American citizen. And so my father continued his building, and I learned everything about money and building. And, when you think about building a house, you're building anything. You got to have a good foundation. You have to not cut corners, because the house will blow down, especially in Florida. So there's a lot of lessons. Plus, for me to bond with my father, I had to learn mechanics and things that are not interesting for me at the time, but actually turned out to be the greatest education because it got me all the way to IBM in an innovative section. So My
Sherry,
dad,
your father was a builder, like a developer, like he built houses.
architect and builder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was amazing. And he would do his own stained glass. So one of the houses actually had like a egret stained glass, and he'd put it in a way where the sun, it would cascade water rippling across the living room. So
Wow.
he was artistic also.
That's incredible. I don't know if I told you, I grew up in a real estate background too,
Mm.
doing a lot of development. So yeah, I mean, that's very interesting. Uh, I think it definitely, like you said, it shapes, it helps to build character in the children when their parents are like that. What was the thing about cars though? From my experience, people who build houses don't know anything about cars,
Yeah.
and vice versa.
Yeah, no, he actually knew about everything about at all times. He was one of those big brains.
Uh-huh.
So okay, so this is a fun, I ride motorcycles all over the world with my husband. We've been married 34 years. And I got into motorcycling because I was too prideful at the time. You're 15, you're cool, right?
Mhm.
And I'm not riding that bus. I did it one time and that was the end of that mess. I'm not doing that. So my father lets you learn by experience. So he never dictated, you can't afford a car. He says, how much money do you have from babysitting? My father was very well off and I was not. I had no money. I had babysitting money. So I thought I have a big stack of money, $20 bills.
Mhm.
And we go car shopping. And he said, well, that money will buy this car. It was a 4-cylinder Spider and it operated on 2 cylinders. So the whole thing was shaking. I said, oh, this is the best thing ever. Because I don't know. So he popped the hood and he showed me what the cylinders are and why it's only operating on 2 and not a good decision. So the only thing I could afford was, he said, well, the women ride scooters in Denmark. So, why don't you get a scooter? I'm like, I don't want a scooter, but I will get a motorcycle. And that's how it all started. And so I was able to use my babysitting money to get cool transportation to go to school in.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is really cool. So were you an entrepreneur growing up? Like, did you have a lot of business you started, or did you have a lot of like jobs, doing different things, McDonald's, bus girl and stuff like that?
I actually did McDonald's for like a nanosecond.
Me too.
I was a French fry flipper and I would get burned all the way down my arm, right? Because I don't know, I wasn't doing it right or whatever. But I was like, no, I have to figure out a better way to make money than this. This is not for me. And it's fine for young people to learn that this is how hard it is to run even a franchise like a McDonald's. It was good to learn about all that, but I was like, So then I actually started, babysitting, and I had people working for me and I'd give them the job and then they would give me a piece of the action. And so entrepreneur is like in the DNA for sure.
Well, let's go back to Canada, because I think we skipped a step. So you came to America when you were 14, but there's a big gap of 14 years. What did you do when you were in Canada? Like, what were some of the things that you did over there? Did you have hobbies or like stuff that you really liked about? And you were from Toronto, right? Was it Toronto?
Yeah, the general area. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, hobbies. I like nature. And I'm really good at, roasting marshmallows. I just want to say, if you need some counsel there, if you need some counsel, I'm there for you. I'm just saying.
I wish you were there. Yeah. So Cherie's talking about, I shared a story on Clubhouse last night of, I almost burnt my tent down roasting marshmallows with the stick caught on fire. Well, yeah, Sherry, I will take you up on that one.
Yeah. Okay. And then the other aspect was I'm very, academics was great, good for me. And then also the sports, and then working and earning money. So I was kind of that person. Go to the mall to meet your friends. There was no metaverse. You had to actually go to the mall and say, there's my
Yeah,
friend.
but they got a great mall in Toronto. It's like,
Yeah.
I think the world can copy the mall system in Canada, in that part of the world, and just any cold places. Like, you can make like an underground city just in malls.
Yeah, they were very big in the malls back in the day. But you had that phone with the cord on it, and so like you're being really private, like Napoleon Dynamite. You go around the corner, everybody can still hear you, but you think you're private, whatever. And so it's like, yeah, I'll meet you at the mall in a half hour. So that was a social thing, when you're not playing activities and basketball, volleyball, and blah, 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 stuff like that. And a big time downhill skier. My dad took me to Whistler Mountain. We jumped off the cliffs and the summits of British Columbia, and then water skiing. He taught me when I was 7 to slalom. So there's a lot of expectations to be a high performer, even at a young age.
Did you travel a lot when you were young?
Well, we travel. Canada's big.
Yeah.
So like, British Columbia is where like a lot of my people are from. And Edmonton, we have some Blackfoot Indian in us. So we go back up into the mountains and yeah. So travel, but within Canada mostly. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Thank you. So when you were in Florida, what was your best experiences about living in Florida? What did you like most about there? Where were you in Florida? Miami?
No, actually not. We were in like Palm Harbor, which is a smaller, because he's looking for good schools.
Okay.
What I liked about Florida was it felt immediately more laid back. The air is actually soft. And in Canada, that wind would just like freeze your hair like icicles. Right. And so I like that part. As far as sitting on a dock and dangling my feet in the pond in the back and putting my feet on a alligator head, that wasn't so cool. There are some things in Florida that weren't great. I'd be on my little 125 motorcycle and we'd have torrential rain where I'd carry an extra spark plug in my back pocket in a baggie, because if it got too wet, you had to dry out the cylinder area and put in a new one just to get to school. So there's some things in Florida that were kind of challenging and other things that were just fabulous.
Was that like a sign that maybe you should have a backup car for rainy days?
The sign, you're going to like this story. The sign was this: somebody ran a red light and hit me and dragged me underneath her van. Okay. I did have a helmet, and I spun because I had engine guards, which I don't ride to this day with anything without an engine guard. And I spun and into a ditch. I got home, my leg blew up. My dad's like, "That's it. You're not on a motorcycle anymore." And he had several cars. One of them was a Mustang Ghia, which was a stick, standard, right? Okay, so he said, "You can use that car because you're not going on the motorcycle again." So guess what my father did? He took it apart. So that means the battery was out, the carburetor back in the day was dismantled. He dropped like all 4 wheels. It was up on bricks. So I came down thinking I'm all that going to get in my car and go to school in a car. And it was in pieces with the book, the how-to book on the, yeah. So I'm like, what? That's not really a gift. I don't have time to put a car back together. He goes, "Well, then you can't ride. You can't drive it."
And you couldn't hire Uber back then?
No. No. So I had to it took me a week. So that meant I was in the bus. So I was very heavily motivated to learn how the carburetor goes back in, why the battery goes this way, positive, negative terminals. And he even dropped the radio, all the wires I had to rewire. I mean, everything. That's my dad. He taught me through lessons and not through dictation and talk.
Wow. Incredible, Cherie. So let's fast forward. Where did you wind up going to college at? Because I know you have an amazing, impressive record as an engineer. You worked at IBM, did some crazy things over there, worked for NASA, did some projects. But before we get to that, can you talk about your educational experience as well?
Yes,
Academically.
I'll tell you, it used to be the big thorn in my side because I came from, my father was a multimillionaire and I had no money for school. I was actually shoe-gooing my shoes, if anybody knows what that is. I was living in a little apartment. I was collecting cans to get money for food and things like that. Like I was poor, like guys poor. So I started in a community college, went to another.
Yeah, but Cherie, sorry to interrupt you. Can I pause you for a second? I've had a very similar experience, but let me just say this. You were that much more wealthier because he was like that. Agree?
I can't even tell you how much more. I mean, I've tried to retire like 5 times in my life because we've made, done very well. But anyway, so I went to community college, then I went to a technical college, and then I went to St. Petersburg College, and everything, either I had to get grants for academics or work 2 jobs, which I did, but I got hired out of my last college with IBM. They came in to interview the students. I was the only one chosen. And listen, this is crazy. So my interview, I reverse engineered why I thought I was a good fit for IBM. So when he sat me down, you know how they do, and he's like, well, I represent IBM, blah, 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 blah. Why do you think you want to work? I gave him the history of IBM, what they stood for, everything about it. I told him, he said, I see that you're working 2 jobs and holding a 4.0. And I said, yes, sir, because I want to work for the best company on the planet. At the time was IBM in my mind. In computer engineering, nobody was doing it. They still had mainframes, vacuum tubes. There's no laptops. So it's kind of like a real stretch to get into that, especially a girl. Anyway,
what year was this? Just for concept.
I knew you were going to.
Or
I know you're the finance guy. So I think it was 79.
Okay, so they really haven't. I grew up in a video store, by the way. So before my dad got into real estate, yeah. So I saw all the new technology, the VCR coming out, and all that stuff
Beta,
as a kid.
Yeah.
So yeah, like folks, to put this in perspective, that there was no laptop, there wasn't internet. The phones, their cell phones barely. I mean, they might have had the giant ones.
No, they had the
big ones, right?
Yeah, it was like these things. Hello.
But no one had them. Like they were for the super rich. For the most part. So
Yep.
Cherie going into IBM at that time, that was probably the biggest technology company at that time. Like that was the greatest, I imagine.
Yeah, it was the greatest. And so when you go in, I flew in there, as in Vermont. I flew in there. They do what's called kind of like profiling, find out where your gifts are and everything. And I tested in the top 2% male and female for problem solving and science professional. So that was like my gift, but I didn't know it. I just went with it because I felt like it was easy. Every test I took, that was super easy for me. And I was like, this is like children's stuff, right? But it's not. It depends on where you're dialed in. Anyway, so then I went in and they showed me around the manufacturing. This is the physical place on where they make the chips. Well, an angstrom, a tungsten line is like, 8 angstroms, like very small. And they had these probes that are as big as your finger, beep, on this. And I'm like, your probes are way too big. You're going to get cross contamination between this probe and that probe. And He goes, oh my gosh, go back into the testing center again, which I was like, I got to get out of here. I got to do something that's fun because this was testing forever. So I got to be interviewed by an innovative section inside of IBM for problem solving and invention. And no women, 0.
Wow.
Like, what is that movie? Hidden Figures. Have you seen that movie, Hidden Figures?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah. But I'm just saying you don't fit in.
Yeah.
They're giving me a chance because of the test. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so what I want to share with you, if I may, if it's a good time to share, that when I went to go interview into this group of all men, they're all like brainiacs, PhDs, and very, very smart human beings, MIT, all this stuff. I went into a boardroom. It was like a big conference room, and it was wall to wall with all these MIT brilliant men faces and everything. And I'm standing there like this. I was like 118 pounds, hair down. I'm like, I'm the token girl. So they're just going to give me a chance to see what can happen, right? Okay, this is the weirdest test in the world. Are you ready? I'm waiting for this, like some kind of big IQ test or something. He goes, I'm going to show you. I have a prop for it. This is a stapler. I said, yes, it's a stapler. He puts it in my hand, and he has said, in front of all these people, because I knew they're going to fail, you have 1 minute to reinvent the stapler. Reinvent and innovate. And I'm like, shock. Like I couldn't breathe. I'm like, I have not worked this hard to mess up with the stapler.
Well, what did the stapler look like at that time?
It was not quite as good as this. It was those little skinny ones, okay? But it had the same mechanism.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
the black ones, you know,
Oh,
the
yeah,
normal,
yeah. The black ones. Yeah. Uh-huh. They're
metal,
basic, very simple.
metal. That's what everybody used. This is before email, guys. So what the secretaries used to do is staple your papers together. So all you'd hear down the hall is the dun, ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum. Okay, so I'm hoping this is interesting to people because this is how far we've gone. But 30 seconds was panic mode. I felt like I was going to pass out. I can't breathe. I've worked too hard for this. I felt like I was going to cry. I was going to turn into a little girl in front of all these men. And then all of a sudden I'm like, but how can I make it better? Don't give up. How can I make it better? Fast. Because I only have like now 20 seconds left. I grabbed a coaster off the table, moved the guy's coffee, and I put a coaster on my stapler. And I said, increase the surface area so it's better for your hand. Because the secretaries would always have a line down their hand. And I mean, everybody was shocked. That was my go. That was my shot that I took. Okay. Increase the surface area. That little flip book that I sent you has the model of what they took it, where they took it. Anyways, you got to remember what it was like. Okay. This is before email. Anyways, all of a sudden it was like dead silent. And now I'm going to really pass out because they hate my idea. Then I got the. So I got invited into a very exclusive, innovative, problem-solving think tank. Like we would sit around for hours and hours trying to think of different ideas and the way to solve problems. That stapler thing got me in with a very secret project for NASA. I was able to reverse engineer. Everybody's going to pass out 4 megabit chip. I know. But it used to be 1 megabit chips, 4 of them, all interwired on a big substrate, which is again like this. So you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's called a 4 megabit chip. Okay, but it's huge. The substrate was huge. So now we had it on a baby finger. But how is it going to fail in the NASA? You can't put this in a rocket ship. So it was all on me. I had one shot to reverse engineer, delayer, find out where the problems were, and report back on where technology has to improve. It was the biggest job ever. And I got taken into secret rooms by like the men in black. And I'm like, oh, they're taking me out. I know too much. Anyways, that was my IBM days. I really enjoyed it. I still believe blue, which is, I'm still faithful to their name and what they offered society. I know they're lagging. Watson was a bit of a disappointment, right? But I still love IBM.
Cherie, you go back to that stapler thing. So was your idea the reason for the design of our current staplers? Because I know what stapler you're talking about now. I was looking for it. I guess I don't have it because I used to have one. You're talking about the old metal. It was metal and it was like pointed. The angles were really
Like
sharp edges. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like, so now we're so spoiled. We don't even think about it. Like these are real comfortable staplers now with soft edges.
Yep.
Yeah. Smooth edges. Like, so did your idea lead to this at some point, do you think?
Yeah. With IBM back in the day, I don't know how it is now, but they own all your ideas. So you never got to see the end result and where they took it, but it was on the market a year later. So.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really neat.
Incredible.
Yeah, they really liked it.
I am never going to look at a stapler the same way again. That's amazing.
Because I innovated the stapler within less than 1 minute and didn't like completely have a meltdown, which I felt like having, running away, it got me into the highest respected position working with NASA. So like, just go for it, people. Like, you know, what do you got to lose? Try. That's quite often my message. Is like Sharon Lechter says, why not? Open your mouth and give it a go. Write down your ideas. Try, right?
So right out of college, you went straight to working for the biggest technology company in the world, IBM. And how long did you work there for?
For about 8 years. I got married and we had our first child. And I was pretty committed at the time to be the one who raises our child, Ashley. And so that was a big struggle because they moved me into management, and nobody's ever fast tracked that fast. Certainly not a woman. And so they're like, you're going to come back, because 99% of the women come back. They can't miss the money, right? I'm like, no, I'm committed to this. I'm going to be the best mom I can. This is new. So I think investing in humans is a bigger calling than getting paid for me. Now, I know it's not that way in society now. It was easier back then. So I'm just going to give everybody that it's okay. It's all good. I'm not promoting one or the other, but times were simpler back then and things were easier back then. Really, I think so. I don't mean it in a negative way, but I do think that you could actually live on one income. Well, we did, even though it was macaroni and cheese and hot dogs sometimes. Hey, we were poor, I swear. It's okay. It's all good.
And lemon water. Were you a big lemon water person?
I'm still a lemon water. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's incredible. And how long did you stay? Did you stay at home as a house mom and do those kind of things for?
As a mother?
As a mom, yeah.
I was never a house mom.
Well, not a house mom, but I mean, like.
I know, as a mom. Yeah.
As a mom, yeah.
As a mom. Okay. So
Sorry to rephrase it.
No worries at all. It's just like, I actually, I did it until Ashley went into pre-K. And then we moved because we needed a different job for my husband.
Yeah.
So we moved, and he went into the waste management world, solid waste, recycling waste, medical waste. That world is big business. It really is. And so we went into that, and then I just couldn't handle anymore talking about diapers and things. I was like losing my mind. I just really was. So I had to get back in. So I tested into teaching. Back in the day, it was pretty desperate to get teachers. So I thought, well, I'll just try this. And I did it and tested. And then I went into teaching, which I felt like is a noble cause, right? Because kids can learn from people that have outside experiences, right? So like I had a real passion for it, putting little seeds of encouragement into young people. That was like something that I felt like a calling to. And of course, that's when later down the road, co-pioneered a program for inner city children. I don't know if you want to talk about that yet, or, I wasn't even stimulated enough in teaching. It had to be more. So then I'm trying to figure out, how do we innovate and help children? Like, how do you problem solve? What's the problem? Well, when you find out that a lot of underserved children don't ever leave a 3-mile radius, that's a problem. They're not seeing the world. They're not getting out. So reverse engineering that is what gets underserved children out of their 3-mile radius. And that is exposure, academics, or sports. Okay. And so I had an opportunity. I was working in Florida with my best friend, Kale, and she told me that a professional, I won't say any names, but it's pretty outstanding, but a professional golfer is having their children learn golf. And I'm like, well, they have a par 3 in their backyard. I mean, okay, that's good. What about all kids? Why can't all children learn the game of golf? Because of the inherent core values. So what I did was I did a beta test with modified equipment for 48 kids. This was in a private school. And it was such a success. It was such a result. We thought, well, let's take this into the market. And as you know, you can be Einstein and you can't just go knock on a school district door and say, hey, you need to do math my way. It doesn't work that way. So we were a striking unit, long story of a million doors slammed in our face, trying not to get discouraged, but it wasn't looking good. We had the big breakthrough. And so we took the 48 beta test and we took it into inner city schools. And we did a proof of concept with the 9 core values, 9 healthy habits, and the game of golf. Now, modified equipment, so the golf balls were actually like little tennis balls. Okay. Well, It was such a success, Dr. Finance, that it created a viral activity. These children would literally do anything to get that golf club in their hand in PE class. That's the only way you can reach the children, is in the class in school time. After school's hard for some people. They can't get to after school. They don't have the money to get into courses. So offer it for free. So a lot of work, a lot of innovation, a lot of keywords, complex instruction, very, very simple. Okay. So we did that with the golf program, and we went from 48 to 10 million impacted underserved school children all over the United States between the First Tee National School Program and the First Tee Chapter After School Program. So our total outcome was 10 million children input. So this is the cool thing. How do children even know that they want to play basketball or soccer or volleyball? They learn in school, and then they play pee-wee football, right? After school. So we brought in golf because it's a very fluid sport. And we're able to now watch a 5-year program. We're able to now watch our children going, still to this day, full college scholarships, inner city children that had no hope, full scholarships, and watching them go to Pebble Beach, play with Tom Kite, things like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Because they had their first touch inside of the schools. They learned the 9 core values. So we talk about mindset. We talk about perseverance, good judgment, and like I'd say, like, if you hit this ball out of bounds, there's a penalty attached. And then I'd say, and if you're in life and you choose the wrong way and you make a decision the wrong way, you may not see that penalty right away, but it's coming. There's a penalty attached to going to cross your conscience. So we had this movement going on where children are opening the doors for the elderly. They got wristbands for showing honesty in class. We changed the whole culture.
Wow.
No, it was brutal, some of these schools. I had a bodyguard going in 5th graders because they were so, it was just unhappy people, and they needed.
Cherie, just step back on your story. So you went back teaching after what, five years of staying home approximately, would you say? And then what kind of teacher did you become? Were you a 5th grade teacher?
Oh no, physical education and science, mostly the physical education, because I like playing with kids. So I was the cool teacher.
Ah, okay.
I learned very quick who the kids love.
That's
I'm
true.
like, oh, I'm going to go into physical education. But in Canada, I was already taking kinesiology and things like that. They kind of specialize children a little bit more. They highlight where your gifts are. And so my physical education teacher in Canada was Dr. Simon, who was Mr. Clean. That's on the bottle of Mr. Clean. And at that age, 13, you had to do orientation. You had to carry a canoe for a mile. You had to rappel down mountains. You had to self-survive, eat bark. That's our PE, not like this PE. So
Wow.
there, you had to have a doctorate degree back in the day to teach physical education. It was the highest position, like one of them. Math was still pretty good. But so when Dr. Simon would walk across in the halls, the kids would stand at their locker and greet him. There was so much respect for the teacher. I came to the US and they were playing like in a big caged area.
Dodgeball.
Not even organized. And so I went to my first class in PE, and the teacher, straw hat man, would open. I said, I'm not supposed to be here. Look at, this is my schedule. And he goes, go talk to the principal. Right. So I go to the principal and I said, sir, I know I'm brand new and I'm probably doing something wrong, but that's not my class. I'm not special ed. I'm serious. That's what I said. And he's like, no, that's our PE class. I said, oh, you have to do something about that. Because in Canada, it was about survival, orientation, carrying a canoe. It was harder. You had to climb up the rope, ring the bell, like in the old days. So that was in Florida, though. And I think I've been in the teaching in that arena now for 19 years. So I'm not saying that was just that one experience.
Oh,
There's
you're still teaching?
no, I'm an
Oh,
entrepreneur now.
how long did you do that for?
Patents.
Yeah, exactly. You got your hands full as it is.
Yeah.
So how long did you do the teaching for?
Well, I think I taught for about 16 years, but I actually was with the organization, the First Tee, for like 19, doing our the First Tee National School Program. So
Okay.
that was a huge calling. I mean, it was so rewarding. I mean, that's soul pay. That's soul pay. Every day I'd wake up, I was just like so proud to help these kids.
That's
So,
really good. And as a former educator, I totally get that 100%.
yeah.
And so, but you're also a thinker, and that's why you found another way to keep yourself busy while you're doing the soul pay at the same time.
Right.
What else can I do? Right. And you took
Always.
that one step further. And that was a successful program that you mentioned. How did you get to 10 million people, though, from a tiny school in Florida?
Yeah,
How were you
great
able to?
question. Great question. So as all entrepreneurs do, you do your beta test. So we would actually start teaching the kids. Then it dawned on us, there's no way we can have the impact that we want because we're teaching children 48 at a time. Not enough people, not enough hours, not enough bandwidth, not enough energy. So we started teaching the teachers how to teach. So one teacher represented 1,000 children. So we
Who paid for this, though? Like, your school only has a budget for that school. You had to go hire.
No, actually in schools, they have like it was a striking unit and it was a core values. So they actually do have allocated money for the pillars of core values. And so we were a 1, 2, 3 combination because they have health, we had core values, and we had a striking unit. So we were a good deal. And that's what's important in business. It's not just this, we're not just teaching golf. We're also this and also that, all wrapped up in one package. Are you interested? Yes, because now they saved the money, right? So it actually financially helped the schools. They could put it into the arts and put it into other holes, which are forever, right? Schools always need money. So it was a blessing that way.
So that program was successful, and what happened at the end of that story, which led to another transition? Where you want to transition into your next point of life? How that eventually unfolded?
Sure. So during teaching, I just believe, early detection is better than late for anything, for everything. And I went for a mammogram. Okay. I was coaching at the time. I was very busy raising my children, and they never even ate out. I had all home cooked meals. Crock pot saved my life. But I was kind of really trying to do a really good job and raising my children. And so I got called back after doing a mammogram. And we came in from a vacation. I saw the phone, and back in the day, they used to have a little red reader on who's calling, what message it is. And it was Dr. So-and-so. I went, uh-oh. So I didn't even want to listen to it because I already know something's not right. Doctors don't call you to say hi, right? So I heard, eventually listening to it, and I heard, you need to come back in. We see something. I'm like, well, it's not in my family. I was a triathlete at the time. I was incredibly happy. So I wouldn't even say stress. And I ate all organic, pretty much. Very good, very clean. We did live on a golf course area. So I went back in, and they did what's called other views and stuff like that. And then he said, I'm sorry, but you have breast cancer. What? Again, not in my family. Everybody kind of feels like they have a safety blanket on them because it's not in their family, but it's like only 10%, I believe, that's actually in the family. That means you're in the bucket of the 90%. So 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer. And for men, it's 1 in 2 prostate cancer, 1 in 2. So it's like, okay, so that was really hard to hear those words. but I put on the warrior, the things that my dad taught me, to be brave and be logical. Don't be hysterical, emotional, and get nothing done. Right. So I went after it, kind of like researching it. And I found out that what they wanted me to do was X plan. And if anything comes out in this meeting today, this podcast, please be your own advocate. If you know somebody struggling, please ask questions. Okay. Don't just be like a sheep led down this, ask questions. The more information you have, the better decisions you can make. So I did a 48-page cross-referencing research. And I said, and I presented to them, which is very fearful as a woman, I need a double mastectomy. And they said, well, you're only diagnosed in the one side, which is the left side. And so we're just going to do this and that and this. And I said, no. My research shows me from all over the world with my diagnosis and where I'm at, a double mastectomy for me, just for me, guys, for me, is the best way to survive.
Now you say double mastectomy. Sorry, just some people might not understand what that means.
Yeah, a removal of both breast tissue.
Both breasts. Okay.
But bear in mind, it's actually 22 years ago, they don't do doubles. They said, we don't take off healthy body parts. So no, you're denied. And I'm like, I need to escalate this. Now think about fighting to have not one arm off your other. It's like, it was such a battle for the mind, because I'm thinking, just trust them. Just stop researching, stop asking questions, stop being that person. They know what they're doing. And you should listen to your doctor. So that my message isn't don't listen, it's ask questions and know. Okay. So I had to present in front of a board of oncologists and surgeons. Not kidding. I felt like IBM days again. Well, according to my study, I'm like, who are you? Anyways, I'm just going to tell you that I won the option. I had to sign a bunch of stuff. And so when I was going in it's hard the night before going through a surgery like that. I'm just going to say, I'm a God girl. So I was deep in prayer and trying to get like confidence in a sense of, how do you get ready for something like this? You can't, not really. So my faith was my only safety blanket. No matter how many people wrapped themselves around you and tried to love on you, you really just feel like survivor. Like you really are naked in the jungle. You're just out there. It's pretty scary. And so going to the hospital, I decided I was going to wake up in the morning and love on the kids and be joyful and strong for them. I got in the hospital and it was the most amazing thing. They had to switch my floor. And in that floor switch was a nurse who knew me. And my anesthesiologist, I was a coach for his daughter, and they were all shocked. They said, I just got put on floor 3. I was supposed to be on floor 2. I said, me too. I mean, my assignment. They're like, oh my gosh, well, we're going to be with you the whole surgery. I'm like, wow, what a blessing that was. So it's a brutal surgery. I woke up. I had what I was told to bring, like a big loose man's, like a husband's dress shirt type of thing, because movement's going to be hard. And so when I woke up, I said, did they get it all? And my husband said, yes. I said, well, then pass me my lipstick because I'm getting on with this. Right. I honestly did. The first thing I did, I couldn't even move on putting on my lipstick because I wanted to be a person. I wanted to feel like there's a chance to keep going. And so she tried to get me dressed in my husband's dress shirt. And I literally got sick all over my dress shirt. So like, it was too much movement. It was awkward. It was long sleeves. It was the whole thing. And she said the best words to me. Okay. Why did you bring this? And I said, first mastectomy. Why don't you provide something? How can I guess wrong? I don't understand why you're mad. She goes, well, now I can't have you released because I have to get the doctor. So it was inconvenient for her that I got sick. Okay. And then I said, why don't you provide something? These are the words. She said, women have always just suffered in silence.
Oh.
Like, what year are we
And
living?
that's okay. Yeah, you can say that kind of stuff, right?
What does that mean? So I finally
Yeah.
got released with my yucky shirt, and then I'm sitting in the wheelchair because they have to wheel you out.
Yeah.
And she puts a tube in this hand and a tube in that hand, drain tube. And I said, what is this? Ew. And she says, well, don't pull on them. Don't let them hang. Don't do this. Don't do that. They're attached to your body. And I said, ew, I didn't know about that. I need my hands. What are we going to do with these things? Medical drains. And she goes, don't worry. Don't worry. We give you equipment. I said, well, okay, what equipment? And she says, well, we'll give you safety pins. I said, pardon me? I've gone through this. You're going to give me a pair of safety pins? What? And so she says, you just pin them to the outside of your shirt. I said, I am not walking in my house with my young children ready to greet mom with throw upon me and drain tubes. This is incredible. This is barbaric, right? So I literally had like this out of body experience on the wheelchair. It might have been Demerol. I'm just saying, I felt like I got levitated off my chair. And I said, oh my gosh, if I could change this for others, I will somehow, some way, because this is horrendous, because the whole thing's terrible, right? And so it's a progression of thinking about what can I do to make this a little bit more decent, a little bit more comfort, a little bit more dignity. And the only obstacle for me at this time was the reminder that, don't you remember you failed home ec? The only thing I've ever failed was home ec. And why did I fail home ec? It's because I stapled my platzo pants for the hem, because my coach for my basketball game was in the window going, the bus was leaving. So I'm like, I don't have time to sew this stuff. So I stapled it behind the dressing room so you could hear da-ding, 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 da-ding. It's a stapler thing again. And so I came out.
Do you like the show sorry to interrupt, did you ever see the show The Office? What was it? I think it was The Office guy. It was a show. They put the guy in the basement because of his stapler. He's like, well, we're going to move you down to the basement.
Yeah, because nobody likes a stapler.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I failed home ec. And so then the negative thoughts, which I want your listeners to hear, is you may say you're not equipped to do something unique and novel because that's not your space or your gift. Well, fabric was not my gift, sewing and all that. So I did a iron-on. I made one shirt of a concept shirt, and I promise you, I showed one person. The next day I was on Fox News. I mean, like, they said, woman inventor takes a bad thing, turns it. I'm like, do not do a close-up because nothing's sewn. It's ironed on. And my little Velcro buttons were like stuck on because I don't sew. And so like I'm putting my hands up there. I'm trying not to peel these things. See how easy it is to get on? So the concept of the shirt was a moisture wicking material, and it has an opening in the front. It has Velcro fasteners because you can't even manipulate your hands very well. It hurts, okay? So movement and getting dressed is hard. And guess what I did? The pockets are inside the shirt, internal. So now when I put it on, I look like I'm going to spin class and not like a sickly patient, right? I didn't want to look sick. I didn't want to look like a broken toy. So, but what are you going to do about that? I mean, yay, you made a shirt. Okay, big deal. So because I have such a love for children and inspiring others, I wanted to bootstrap my company. I'm a big fan of Sharon Lechter, been through all her money courses and things like that. And also Damon John, Power of Broke. He teaches you how to literally start from nothing and how to keep the concept. So this is a great outcome, I think, for $1,000, not because I'm financially in that situation. I'm not, I could retire type of thing, but for $1,000, I wanted to see how far can I take a good idea. And because my mom went to Woodstock, I'd say, Mom, how did all those kids show up in Woodstock without flyers, beepers, cell phones, schedulers, Google Calendar? like, how did they make it? How did they get there? Right. And she said, word of mouth. I said, do you think people will talk about a good idea if they hear it? And would they spread it organically? She says, absolutely. So that's how I built my company. I called it Heal in Comfort because it's the last thing that I healed from. And I wanted to actually trademark a sentence because of all the competition that's out there with names. You know, it's hard, right?
Mhm.
So Heal in Comfort was my company name. So for $1,000, I said, I'll help 100 patients in Austin, Texas. That's where I live. And then I'm done. I don't want to deal with cancer anymore. I had a shocking outcome from my double mastectomy. I had more cancer in the undiagnosed side than the diagnosed side. So now, if I had left that on, I wouldn't be here talking to you. So
Yeah, Cherie, I want to get back to that. Like you took the second side off, and that was a great decision on your behalf of going against the grain. What did they wind up changing their medical process because of you afterwards? Because you were basically doing something that was totally odd, but you were spot on with that. Like,
yeah, it saved my life. I don't know the outcome. I do know that it went into the journals of like a case
yeah,
study. And so
okay,
like what you can hope is that people like have a voice. It's called shared decision making now for patients. So they need to know that you can ask questions and you're not being oppositional to your doctor and all their brilliance. Not at all. You want to be a partner in it. So, okay, back to the story with the shirts. So for $1,000 to help 100 patients. So word of mouth happened. Guerrilla marketing happened.
hmm,
I won grants. I won business
wow,
grants. Guess what I did with the grants? Again, remember, $1,000. So that doesn't mean I can clap my hands and just come up with the money
hmm.
and file for patent, right? I'm trying to have an authentic story to be able to give back to young people, or right now in today's times, a very important thing is to have a side hustle, right? Extra money coming in. I believe in multiple streams of revenue. 8 is the secret, is a good one. Anyway, so the first patent that I got that's up on that wall was because I won a business award. And I turned that into protecting my IP, intellectual property. And I'm going to tell you again, Sharon Lechter was a big catalyst to understanding protecting IP. I knew it in IBM, but not so much as a solopreneur out here. So I'm just giving her a big shout out because she's just brilliant. Go follow her, Sharon Lechter. So my $1,000 to help 100 patients has now moved into 75,000 souls. I have my shirts have been in Africa for burn victims, in India for cancer patients, Nicaragua because they're doing self-surgeries and getting infections afterwards. So the blessings have poured through. I'm just really proud of that. So, I mean, that's a cool journey.
That's a great story, Cherie. And I was thinking, how can we get that product out a little further? And I know several of my friends actually are pharmaceutical reps and medical supply reps. I know several people that do that job, and I think about their job. Maybe if you can get it to those gatekeepers, they can help when they go around to hospitals to try to sell them products, a new X-ray machine or whatever. Oh, by the way, we got this shirt. What's your thoughts on that? Have you tried that route as well?
Yes, it's thank you. It's a brilliant idea. And that's actually one of the first things I tried. What I learned is it's a pretty heavy lift back there. And you have to have what's called a DME, durable medical good. It has to have an insurance code, da 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 da. And they're like, no disrespect to Walmart or some big boxes, they like to give you about 10 cents over your cost because they have a bigger formula to get many people, right? And so then I do ROI. Like if I could have one thing I'd wear on a t-shirt other than cancer sucks, I would have ROI. I'm a big ROI. I look at time and investment and effort for the biggest impact. Okay. So I'm looking at that and going like, so then that means I'm manufacturing like maybe hundreds of thousands of shirts and you're making 10 cents and all the other things that go along with bringing a product to market, I decided to stay smaller because it wasn't like I'm trying to pay bills, right? And do more of a noble cause, outreach for society and inspiration for others. And that's what I chose to do. So
thank you, Cherie. And you said you didn't have anything to talk about with money. You just launched a successful, and this is a side business. That's so funny. You did great.
Thank you. I launched a Healincomfort for the women, and guess what? Men get breast cancer too. So they started going to my shirt, getting a pink shirt, because they're using bungee cords to hold the medical drains from their garage.
Wow.
Dirty. So then I opened up a whole new website for the guys called The Recovery Shirt. And now they have a blue site to go to. And I help men all the time. But my invention actually even helps organ transplant, heart surgery, shoulder surgery. It's kind of like a solution. But I focused on my journey because you don't get tired talking about your journey, which is another good entrepreneur lesson. Don't get too diverse. Don't get spread too fast before you've built your pillar. Because you're going to get tired talking about all these different verticals. That comes in when you've got a good solid stake in the ground.
Did you retire from teaching at the same time that all this happened? Did you decide, all right, I'm going a different direction now?
No, I did not retire from teaching. I actually coached with these drains in my body. So like I finished up. I wanted to be a good example to the children that life can throw some curveballs. And so like I was all about the aspect of being an encourager. And so no, we got transferred, and that's when I stopped. And then I thought, well, in Austin, Texas, I said, well, let me just try another thing. How about another thing?
They moved. That's how you got to Texas. They moved you from Florida. They transferred you over
my
to
husband's business. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, it's very interesting, Cherie. So what happened? You still obviously have this business. Do you have any other new things that you're doing besides that? We're going to talk about your a few of your stuff in a little bit, especially the AI thing called RS99. Not right now, though. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit.
Sure.
Is there any other things that you want to help to round the story off, maybe 2 minutes or so to get to the present moment?
Yeah, actually, I do have something that I'd like to share, and that is when you have a business, I found it very simple and effective to draw a wagon wheel. Like think about a wagon wheel. So you have a little circle in the middle, which is called a hub. Okay, that's your focus. That's your goal. So let's say I wanted to have 50,000 patients helped, and then draw the circle on the outside. And then your first pillar is usually what's called your website, right? But how successful will you be as an entrepreneur with one spoke in your wheel? And a lot of entrepreneurs depend on the one spoke, the strong spoke, which is fine, but it won't take you over the bumpy roads of entrepreneurship. So I actually teach on this, unless like you need to have 7 more spokes of supporting revenue. So use your brain and figure out how else can I support my goal in the middle, which is the hub. So I love teaching on that because it's simple. It's not complex. It's like what we did with the golf program, which has millions of instructions, and we brought it down really simple. Cue words. The wagon wheel, if you will, like it's absolutely, I mean, people show me their wheels all the time. Like I can be in events and they'll come up with their wagon wheel and they say, I have 5 streams of revenue now, or spokes supporting my vision. So thank you for that, because it's something that's tangible. So I wanted to share that little bit. So what I've done is I sell on Amazon. I have gift shops. I have, 8 different sources supporting my hub.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think you need that as an entrepreneur. You cannot depend on, well, certainly not just on social media, because they can go, poof, you're gone. I experienced that. Yeah.
Mm. Thank you, Cherie. Appreciate that. Have you ever read Robert Allen's book, Multiple Streams of Income?
No, but I haven't. Sharon's the one who taught me that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the support. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Sharon Lechter, folks, is co-author Rich Dad Poor Dad, also my mentor as well. Incredible woman. definitely check out some of the books she's wrote. She wrote Think and Grow Rich for Woman with Napoleon Hill Foundation. She co-authored Rich Dad Poor Dad, and all those books and so many others that she's been doing lately. Gotcha.
Yeah, no, she's brilliant and lovely, and she's just a amazing human. I mean, I love her. So yeah, but anyways, I just had to simplify it because sometimes people didn't have, like, that's my super skill. Complex stuff into simple, that's adoptable. Because Jeff Bezos, like the one thing he said that I really adhere to is technology is not disruptive, adoption is. You ever come up with an idea and people ignore it, even if it's a brilliant idea, well, guess what? It's going to sit there. You come up with something that's adoptable, guess what? You're going to make lots of money. So go for what's adoptable.
And that's brilliant. You know, your simple invention really can make so many people feel so much more comfortable in a very difficult time of life. And you just thought just a little bit harder how you can make it better. And meanwhile, you know, not to knock the medical industry, but they watch patients like you come in and out their doors, and someone could have stepped in at some point and said, you know, why don't we just do this? And you did it. And you did because you experienced it, you felt it, you know the pain, you know what it's like to want to live in comfort while you're under that circumstance. So kudos to you, Sharon.
Thank you. And isn't that the goal though in life? Like, what do you go through these difficult times if you can't reach down and help someone out? I do want to talk about your network, which is your friends. Okay, so like I had the girlfriends, like you're going to have Lisa Copeland on pretty soon. She was one of my biggest champions, encouraging me constantly. Okay, but you got to have those people in your circles. And the people I surrounded myself were successful business people, because I wanted to pick up on it like a radar, like an antenna. What did you just say? Oh, that's what people need. Oh, that's how you protect your IP. Oh, see, you cannot sit in a, you know, like in a pocket of people that just want to talk about building campfires and try to figure out you're going to be an entrepreneur. So go where your tribe is and where you can get that encouragement. And that's what I did. And my best thing, I'd like to give this to you guys. My best thing was I'd go to the biggest brains and say, can I have 5 minutes? Just 5 minutes. I would time myself. I never got a no. So my 5 minutes would be, I would have such strategic questions that it would literally move the needle of my knowledge, but I never wasted not a breath. I ran around like this little kid running around. Can I have just 5 minutes? Can I just ask you one question? Can I have just two? And so like, I'm famous for that. Can I just have 5 minutes of your brain? That's what I did.
Cherie, if you opened up a podcast, you can get an hour.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
It's moved my needle a lot.
Yeah, and I commend you for all your amazing outreach. And the more I dig in with what you've done, the higher up it explodes in my mind of how much work and effort and beautiful content you're leaving on this earth to help others. And I just wanted to say, I am so honored to be here. And we got you all set up with Lisa, and I know you've had Sharon on and stuff like that, but Dr. Finance, you are a rock star. I've started sending your stuff going, look who's interviewing me. I love this man. So, I mean, well done. Thank you, sir. Well done for you.
Thank you, Sharon. Appreciate to help fostering that connection with Lisa along with Megan as well. So I appreciate it. We're going to have Lisa Copeland on here in a few weeks, and another Clubhouse stage with her as well a few weeks after. So thanks to Cherie for really pushing it over, and Sharon, actually, she helped. I had like a triple team to get Lisa here. First, I started with Megan, and Megan got Cherie, and then I went back and you brought Lisa into the room that night, and then I had a meeting with Sharon that week for an hour. And I'm like, she's like, so what are you doing this week? And I mentioned Lisa. She goes, I'm texting her right now.
Yeah, like, okay. Lisa showed me the text, but it's like, this is the thing. She's just so incredibly busy. She's got a heart as deep as the ocean.
Yeah.
And everybody's trying to get, a little bit of time and things like that. So, but she's all set and she's excited. And the more she's learning, she's like, oh my goodness, this man is a rock star. Where's he been all my life?
Thank you,
So
Sherry. You're a rock star. That's why you're my guest here. So Sherry, we're gonna switch to the next segment, which basically I ask you some questions now. Did you want to conclude on that story, or we're good? We're to the present, because we're gonna touch upon a lot of these subjects again at a certain
okay.
point.
But the only thing I'd like to do is talk about RAS, the AI digital human for breast cancer patients, when you have the time, because it's something exciting and your followers can watch the journey of yet another startup. But I'd love to explain that when I can.
Absolutely. We got a whole question just for that.
Cool.
So, all right. So the next thing I usually ask I ask the guests here is about their books. Do you have any books that you wrote, or any in the future that you are interested in writing?
In the future, yes, but I gave you my little flip book because my flip book, I don't know if you got to get through it, is basically the journey, the entrepreneurial journey, but I want it done in 5 minutes. And I want it sticky. I want it sticky that you don't forget. So I present this way sometimes, and I'll say, what slides stuck out with you? They're cartoons or things like that, but they're sticky. One of my mentors is Ron Lynch, and he is OxyClean, ShamWow, GoPro. He's always talking about sticky, what's sticking in your mind. Because even the highest of IQ can go to a teaching or something. And by the time they get home, a half hour later, they retain less than 10%. And so like knock it down a couple levels with you're talking about 5%. How are you moving the needle? How are they? But my little flip book, oh, it's sticky. I'm just saying. So
that's what you want to make. You want to make an entrepreneurial flip book, like something that's super sticky.
Flip through it and go delight. Just be delighted in the journey.
I need one of those for my books. Just a sticky one for each one. They're just
that's right. Like the Cliff Notes, almost like Cliff Notes. Yeah, what can you take out? What can you take out and apply? Put it in you. Yeah,
it's a great idea. Thank you, Sherry. All right, so Sherry, why do you love technology so much? Because I mean, you did spend a lot of time with technology.
I love and don't love it. I love AI for good, hashtag AI for good. I can see that all tools can be used for good and bad, but I feel that at the pace, the speed of life right now, that AI for good is such a enabler to catapult people's learning and to help them out through the journey. I love technology for that. What we're building next, what we'll talk about later, is on an empathy empathy engine. So that's where AI actually becomes more feel and not just like, I'm not really a big fan of children living on devices, and that's not my thing of technology. But if you can put on an Oculus, and I went up to the Matterhorn last night, I was climbing in there and stayed in their little hut overnight, and I got up to see the sunrise over the Matterhorn. That technology is fantastic, right? Because I'm not going to ever do that. I'm not climbing up that mountain. So having that experience is wonderful. So technology, good. Technology can be in the wrong hands, could be not great.
I'm glad you answered that in that form. We're going to have another question you're going to enjoy in a little bit. But let's move on to talk about, now you already talked about IBM and NASA, but maybe in 1 minute or so, just to condense that answer, what does it feel like to work for IBM and NASA? I mean, NASA, they're both leaders in their fields.
So the project was inside of the umbrella of IBM, so I never left and went to a different organization. I was just in, IBM. What did it feel like? Like I was walking on clouds. Like literally every single, it was hard to fit in, that part of it. But the pride to be part of something that truly changed the way humanity operated. I mean, I was there when they were saying, one day everybody's going to have this thing called a laptop, and all the engineers were like 7,000 of them sitting there. They go like this, no, because we had mainframes. So like,
is that what you were working on, the laptop?
Well, I was working on the technology that went in all this.
Oh, wow.
But think about your kitchen, like, and that was a computer. So the concept of actually having it on your lap seemed just like, come on, Star Trek. Like, yeah. And people are not going to have a mainframe on their lap. So what are you talking about? But they did, they predicted it. And the cool thing about IBM is I was working on things that were, 10 years before launching into the public, right? But you have to understand where society is on what you present, because what's the big goal? Adoption. Mm-hmm. So if we went straight into a phone and this thing's talking to you, it'd be like, nope, I'm out. You're weird, right? Voodoo, I'm done. And we actually had some people that were superstitious of what we were doing actually back out of our projects because they felt like it was encroaching on godlike behaviors.
Did that help your personal life, being at the front line of something that can help you see into the future 10 plus years, where like you know what's going to happen 10 years from now because of what you're doing and no one else does? Like, you can take that knowledge and apply it to your life to improve your life. Were you able to do it in that way?
Yeah, well, on one aspect was when you went to, let's call it cocktail parties or whatever, I would command the crowd because I'd have short stories of what's coming, what's interesting, what's happening. And I was like, very fun to talk to because people were just like mesmerized by it. So that part of it, as far as me waiting outside, it didn't really help, but it's a weird feeling. It's like you're an astronaut on the planet, knowing that what you're being experienced to right now has nothing to do with what's real. So it's sort of like a baby step. Look, they'll go, look at what I got. Remember Prodigy? Yeah. You remember Prodigy when it came on the computers? Yeah, you turn it on, you do a search, and then you go, do something and make a sandwich and come back and it's almost up. Right? So
I actually hated computers in the beginning because they were just too slow for me.
Too frustrating, right?
Yeah, it really frustrated me in the beginning. I remember I was 16, I had a project, maybe 14 or 15. I had a project, and it was in my dad's office. I went over there and I had to print something out. All I had to do was print it out. It was like 5 pages. And I stayed there for 4 hours on a Sunday. I was ready to kick the machine. Like, I knew if I broke this machine, my dad would have my head. So I just I took a walk a few times, and like by the time it was done, I got my 5 pages and I'm just like, I hate computers. And it's horrible because just a few years later, email really started going crazy. And then I got my first email account. And I'm like, wow, just thinking back just a few years ago, I was ready to blow that computer up.
Yeah.
It was frustrating in the beginning.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's frustrating being outside and having only access to when I knew better. So like one of the things that I brought to in the innovation section was I called it the living picture frame. We're talking 30 years ago. So the plasma screen didn't really happen yet, gases and things like that. But I thought it'd be cool that if you walked in your house and let's say it was winter, you had all like winter scenes all over your house. So I was working on stuff like that before even a laptop was even anything. And I had a talking ornament like so the children could voice command, hi grandma, hi grandpa, they're 2, they squeaky voices. Then you hang it on your tree. So your whole Christmas tree was like a living testament of your life, and children's giving you little blessings and saying Merry Christmas. And so and then I did virtual reality for like the paraplegic. So we would actually have them swimming with the dolphins. So what would happen with that is their heart would start racing. And so like a paraplegic does not have an opportunity to swim with dolphins, right? But their mind was tricked into thinking that they were. So you'd see them trying to well, not that they had movement, but their head engagement was like, they were having so much fun. You take it off and they were just like, wow. And they had something to talk about.
How long ago was this?
Oh, long time ago.
They had that stuff back then?
They had things that I can't even talk about, little chips that did we haven't even seen that yet, where your parents or your sister, brother, whatever can come and appear on your house. We have augmented reality, but we were working on stuff where it's like a holographic type of appearance and stuff, things that just aren't even there yet.
It took 30 years for them to like come out with that, even though they already
Look
kind
how
of had it.
they stepped and stepped and stepped, and
Wow.
competition came in, you go backwards, you come step, step, step. We were in a section that was not market ready. So it was sort of like in the pipe dream, and which I encourage all entrepreneurs, go into your dream state of like no barriers. So if you're running a business, what would you do if you had no barriers, no money barriers, no impossible barriers, no time barriers, no nothing? What would you do? What would you do in your pipeline? What would you bring to the market? It's a place where you can play Play-Doh with your brain.
I love it.
It's fun.
That's awesome, Cherie. I didn't know all that stuff. That's really cool. You probably got to see a lot of really cool stuff being around at the front line. Thank you, Cherie. Appreciate that. All right, you're gonna love this next question. It's the question of the hour. I know you wanted to talk about this, so I didn't even change the question. Cherie, normally when people send me questions, I laugh and I'm like, you haven't looked at any of my episodes, did you? But Cherie sent me a question, and I wanted to not change a word of it. So, why is the new medtech company that you are working with called RAS 99 so important?
Okay, so AI for good, AI for good. And my questions were based on the questions, like I thought you were going to ask me about Sharon Lechter's thing inside the slot machine.
Oh, no. Your questions were brilliant. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So with RAS, why is it called that? Recovery as a Service. It's a SaaS program. Okay, so that's RAS, Recovery as a Service. What's the 99 thing all about? 99% of the time that you're not in clinic. So our digital AI, the thing that we're building is going to be a servant, a help, a guide, a concierge, if you will, of the 99% of the time you are outside of the 1%, which is the clinic. What's happening in society, unfortunately, is there's a tsunami of sick people and cancer. So again, AI for good, just hang on, AI for good. And we have created, based on our IP that we've already done for type 2 diabetes, a recovery AI digital human to help people navigate through cancer. We're starting with breast cancer, but this is what happens when you get diagnosed with cancer. You can go into your 1% with the doctors. They know what they're doing. They are going to set you up with this and that, and they got it down. They got it figured out. But what isn't set up is the 99% of the time you're away from the clinic. That's why we called it Recovery as a Service, 99% of the time, okay? So what that means is 99% of the time that you're out floundering around like a fish out of water, and so much confusion can occur, such as even meals, okay? So what happened, like to me, is good-hearted people would put on my doorstep 7 lasagnas on Tuesday night. And maybe they're meat lasagnas. I don't eat meat. Way to go. So then I have to go and do all the work. Thank everybody, call everybody, clean all the pots, do all the stuff. The job load of going through cancer is so overwhelming and taxing that it's almost what actually crushes you and hurts your spirit person to say, this is just too complex. I can't pick up my children. I'm getting an infusion. I need help with this. I need help with that. I can't pay my medical bills. Dr. Finance, did you know that the #1 reason why Americans go into bankruptcy is for medical bankruptcy?
I didn't know exactly that, but I definitely know it was at the top. And Cherie, that's a question I was going to ask you later. I don't want to interrupt your flow, but like how you figured out a way to get through all your procedures and stuff, considering the high costs and exactly the fact that you just stated.
Yeah, well, that was old school. So that was just grinding it out. What our new company that we're going to be launching on Republic's crowdfunding platform, the solution that we're bringing to the world is literally the most incredible, easy to talk to. People are getting used to talking to things in the air, ordering foods and things like that. But what if you could talk to something that is like smarter than Watson, bringing in MIT white pages for answers, no diagnosis, answering questions, but through voice, texting, email, or actually talk to a digital human. We have four ways to participate in our medical startup, okay, a Medtech. So just think about 50 problems solved immediately. I see if you even get your friends together, let's say you're going to get 6 guys together and you're all going to watch the game. How many text messages do you have to get to find out when everybody's going to be there and what they're bringing? It's exhausting. Like, okay, no, Sam has the chips and the dip. Like, you have to do work, right? When you have cancer, the energy needs to be spent on yourself. It needs to be restful, eating well, drinking right, not busy serving other people, not busy making sure everybody else feels comfortable with your journey. So the digital human that we're building, again, based off of what we've done for type 2 diabetes, has a third-party valuation of $40 million. So it's not our first rodeo. We're just adapting it and teaching it breast cancer because there's so many facets. What about wigs? Where are you going to get that? Now we're going to have it in mixed reality where the person's going to be able to hold it up and try on different wigs, send them off to their friends. What do you think, brunette or blonde? This is my chance. You know, we've thought about literally everything that goes into the 99%. When you feel like your children are taken care of, dinner is delivered to you, what you've chosen and paid for, your clothing, your wigs, and help with the medical, you can breathe. It's not like so many jobs, right? Then you concentrate on what? Doing what the doctor says and getting well and putting all this behind you. So I'm so excited. It's what keeps me up at night. I don't sleep because I can't believe that I'm so in this honor position to bring this to the world.
How long have you been doing this for?
I've been in this. I got scooped up 6 months ago.
You're the owner, right?
I am a partner. First of all, I started in with first money in because I am a big investor. I invest in tech. Not all the tech has turned out great right now, but I do invest in tech and real estate. We're with like Blackstone and things like that, you know, the normal stuff. But I like the startup because it's a rush to think about what if it goes, you know. I've had some great experiences with startups. I haven't had too many failures. In fact, I've had failures inside of the startups as you're growing. Of course, everybody does. But the outcome was always a win. So I know that this one is not only a win, it's a game changer. And she speaks, I say she, it's called Bridget, which is Bridge Technology IT, right? She speaks 24 different languages already.
Wow.
Yeah. And she's going to be culturally sensitive for people when we go global. If you're in a country where there's different cultures, she'll be able to be sensitive to that. And she can read facial features if you want her to, voice imprint if you're going to be alarming. Bridget, I need help. She'll be able to respond. You wake her up by simply saying her name, Bridget, just like you do other things that are over there that I'm not going to say.
I love it. You're not saying the name.
No.
Thank you. That's really annoying when the radio actually says that name, and it's like, why are you trying to wake these things up?
Yeah, I've got like them all. Look, I'm all into this stuff. I got this guy. I have Google. This is the Apple one. I have the Google. Okay, Google. Okay, and then I have the other one that we all know about. And people are getting used to talking to things to get answers. And so what's awesome about ours is it's not a Google search. It actually creates a relationship. She remembers, I'm going to say she for right now, because if it's a male for prostate cancer in the future, your Bridget will be a male. So you get to pick your avatar. That's how cool it is. And you can take your avatar, your AI digital human, into a doctor's meeting. Put it on listening mode. Listen to all this stuff that's way over your head. Okay, that you feel like you're just falling down a big black hole. Don't know where to grasp. Okay, take it home. You can actually ask our AI digital human to put it in chunks, layman terms, and send it to my friends and family. So if it says Susan's going to have surgery in 2 weeks, I don't want to make 25, 30 calls and say, yeah, I got to have surgery and go into that. And they have millions of questions and all that. It wears you out, right? We need Bridget to run our businesses and our podcasts and things. but so you say one time.
Yeah.
And what I'm interested in is like a meta room where it'd be us, like us in a Zoom, and you would be able to inform 50 people at once. They see you. They can see, yes, you've been diagnosed with cancer. Okay. But it stops these individual work. So, and then food delivered, babysitting delivered, grass cutting delivered.
How did you hook up with the technology people that doing the coding and all that? Did you just know them from networking, or?
No,
that's a specialty, right?
Yeah, it is such a high specialty. We have a man on the team, Andy Lewin, who was like the grandfather to AI. He's done AI and blockchain for the military, for friendly fire, for FEMA, for all the big semiconductor. He is maybe the smartest person I know. Like, he's off the spectrum, but engaging and soulful and passionate. He had family incidents that has given him fire under his belly to make this change. And so our team, and we have Yuri and Jean Tesla, and they are brilliant. Oh my gosh, this team is incredible.
So you got a mastermind group just within this company itself.
We do indeed. And then we have a lady that Betty, who she knows all the nonprofits. So we're called a public benefits corporation. And that's where Betty comes in. And then we have a special finance guy. Like, we have all these, it's not their first rodeo. They've already done all, they got all these bits and pieces, 20-page on how we're going to make money, little tiny cells on what's going to happen next. And that's Andy. So I'm excited. We're going to launch on Republic platform, which is an app. You'd probably love it because you can see all these really cool new ideas that people are launching. And I can spend all day on that thing. So we're going to launch there to raise the first crowdfunding. They only allow you 5 million to raise, but that's going to get us started to teach our digital human breast cancer. And then after we do the breast cancer and we launch it, then we're moving into other cancers because there's no exhausting her.
This is potentially a $1 trillion plus business, not even a billion, like you're talking about.
Yes, yes, because we already have invitations in the UN. They want to see our work already, and we're just like, hey, how about building it first? So we have our tech pack and everything. I mean, everything's already been done. We're basically adding enhancements to what was already incredibly successful. In fact, they were so successful with type 2 diabetes that they corrected 27% of people that were taking insulin were now with doctor's orders. I mean, they watched everything. Their bodies became so well, they no longer need insulin. 27%. They're not chained to the insulin thing anymore. Incredible. So we're using all that IP and all that wisdom, working with, at that time was a $10 billion company, tech company. And we're using that now to teach our AI for good, digital human breast cancer, and then moving into other cancers.
So you got people in your mastermind group that basically have worked with billion-dollar companies, like
all of them,
all of them,
including
wow.
me. Yeah. No, they're all like brainiacs, and but the thing is, they have a soul still. It's not just
Yeah, they have soul.
yeah, because you know how it can go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sherry. Sherry, do you want to use this time to show that clip?
Well, I do, if everybody could be patient with the delivery. This is like show and tell. Remember when you were a kid and you had to do like a shell?
Uh-huh.
You know, you had to
And
show
you
and
can,
tell.
if you want to do show and tell on your wall too, you feel free to.
Oh, well, the message we ride motorcycles on CODA, which is in Austin, which is Formula One track. That's those, everything else, the message you can take off from that is, if I can do it bootstrapped and get all that IP protected, so can anybody listening to this message, because that represents my intellectual property and me taking the time to guard my idea. I do have something for you. Maybe you know NFTs. Are you in the world of NFTs?
A little bit. No, I stay in my lane.
Well, if we have well, the NFTs can bring in a lot of money, so I thought money, but one of those patents, I want to turn it into an NFT and then have a utility built around it. Means people can reconstruct from my NFT globally, right? Just like, I'm not going to Bored Ape, but I have a patent that people can use all in different countries, and then they can use it to help people. So I know it's a weird idea, but if there's anybody out there listening that understands how to take this one that I'm talking about is a design patent, not a utility patent. So it's basically art, and turn it into an NFT and basically sell, license, buy, right? NFT rights. Okay, that's how that works. They can do this solution all over the world. That's
do you need an NFT person? Because I have a few.
I do, but I have to have somebody that understands, like an IP attorney, that this has never been done before. But guess what, Dr. Finance, if we do this, we'll be the first female sole inventor to take a patent, which is that second one, off the wall, turn it into art. Let's not call it a rock. Let's call it an art form of a protected IP. And people can, one, support the entrepreneur, right? Buy their NFT, and then utilize it. Because if I buy this and there's only 10,000 of them, I just get to look at it. It's a digital art, right? It's like, yay, look at my NFT, yay me, right? The hope is that I can flip it. But what I want to do is my art goes on the backs of patients all over the world. So when you take it, when you own it, go ahead, manufacturer. You have my blessings. Go for it. We'll have blockchain attached, so we'll know who's implementing and using. It's a cool idea. I just don't know anybody to talk to because it's so new that it's never been done. But we'll be the first. I love being first, because if you're not first, you're last. Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, I just made a note. I'll introduce you to somebody who's actually pretty successful in Clubhouse doing that, and they're also a big investor with other things in her circle too. So yeah.
Okay.
I don't really understand it. That's another lesson right there. When you don't understand something, you find someone that does.
Yes, that is a lesson. And so the way to look at NFTs is the Mona Lisa, there's one. So people come from all over the world because there's not a lot of them. There's one. And they go look at Mona Lisa and it has high value. But if they made Mona Lisa, if Mona Lisa had 10 million copies, I'm not flying to Paris to look at what's already out there. That's why baseball cards, Mickey Mantle, that one's valuable. The other ones are not. It's all about, a fixed number, just like even Bitcoin and ETH, right? It's sort of like how many Bitcoins are out there that's available. That's the reason why it has some value. I don't know if you're into crypto. I'm trying to learn that one too. Okay, so this is a show and tell. I might make it a full minute or I may not. I think your viewers will get an idea, but this has never been shown in public because we haven't launched on our public form of Republic. So just for Dr. Finance, with the blessings of my team, I'm going to give you a snapshot. It's not perfect. Listen, guys, this is like a beta test. So the digital human that you're going to see it's like just a drop in the ocean on how sophisticated it's going to be. So please have a little permission for her to do this. So here we go. Ready? I'll try to put it in the, okay. It'll say something soon.
Hey, Bridget, the doctor just gave me a prescription and I'm not sure it's working. Can you help me?
Yes, I can help with that. Just hold up the prescription box so I can see the label with your name on it. Maria, that is an anti-nausea drug. It's given to help reduce nausea after chemotherapy. It says on the label to take it every 4 hours until symptoms subside.
I just took a dose, but I still feel really sick. Can I take it again?
That's a question for your doctor. You should continue taking your medicine as indicated. I can hear you're quite concerned about how you are feeling. Maria, would you like me to schedule a call with your doctor tomorrow? You can bring up your concerns with her.
You can do that?
Yes. I'm here to help make sure your recovery goes as smoothly as possible. We've got this.
Thanks, Bridget.
There, we did it. So that's like showing you a shell when you're like in kindergarten. I know that the screen is probably, but it gives you the idea, and you're the only person to ever see this yet. So this
Wow.
is
Me and all the other millions.
I know, but I wanted that because I just wanted to share something absolutely positively brand new. Now that AI is going to get a lot smoother, a lot more natural, and certainly not a recording of a recording on a recording on a Zoom, but you can see how she's able to actually even read medicine bottles. You can see how she's able to encourage. You can see how she's able to schedule. She's able to look at your schedule, your complex balls in the air, and bring some order and some smoothness to it. So that is what I'm doing right now.
Thank you, Sharon. That's incredible.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations on that. Wish you the best success. But I want to ask you the next question, which I know I'm glad you've hinted on it. So as a scientist, would like to know this answer, and I'm sure many others as well. Will artificial intelligence, AI, overtake humanity at a certain point?
Oh, you would have that easy
1 to
old
2
question.
minutes.
That easy old question. Well, let's just talk about what Elon thinks. Right? It's already falling into the wrong hands. So I think it's the same with any tool, can go this way or that way. Again, I wear the banner of AI for good. It's always the white cowboy hat and the black, you know what I mean? There's always this. And even when I was with IBM, they just thought we were working with things that are going against God. And like, it's always going to be that way. It doesn't matter if you're selling apples, somebody's going to steal apples and sell them on the black market. I mean, it is that way. So I have reservations on diving too quickly, too fast, without having checkpoints, safety nets with AI. We have deep thinking machines where one computer is talking to the other computer and they don't even need human engagement anymore. They're proving quantum entanglement. They're proving all these things. So at the speed of light, the deep thinking machines are able to outthink us. Some of them are even getting emotions. Almost like that Hal movie, remember? They had hurt feelings. They don't turn me off. I mean, I don't know where we're going that way, but I know that I'll wear the right AI for good and fight any of the negative tide that goes along with it, because it's coming and there's no going back. People are never going to say, you know what? Yeah, forget about AI. We're not going to do it. It's just so fast. I mean, literally at the speed of light. And do you know, I've heard in Clubhouse that there are vetting AI now as you play. Let's just call it talk and tick. Not to say anything negative about anybody. I don't want to do that. But they can actually find out if you are a sympathizer to a communist country on the way you play and what you look at. they're already using the way people play on their platform to identify people that are not with them. Let's say it that way. I mean, it's crazy.
Clubhouse is allowing this, or?
No, Clubhouse, in a very deep tech company, a tech room that I go into, has illuminated that that's an issue for people in different countries.
Ah, wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So how you play, TikTok was the first one to actually come up with finding children that were in flight or fight according to their pupil dilation.
Mm-hmm.
Find out that they were potentially risk factored children. They were in flight or fight. So there's that technology. I guess the CIA has been using it for years on the way you carry yourself, how you walk into a building. They can kind of find good guys, bad guys. I mean, it's there anyways. It's just coming at us. It's kind of like the laptop thing. It's coming in our home, not just for those people.
How long do you think we have before the worst case scenario happens?
Oh, the worst case scenario, it's already happening from what I've learned in the deep tech room, which is they're profiling you on how you participate on their platform, how you key log, how your responses are, how you look, where your retinas are going, what you're spending your time on. It's already in that bucket of, uh-oh, in my opinion, but not for US just yet. It's all coming.
Well, I'm not, that's just human trying to control human. I'm talking about the next level. And Cherie, I know you have, I'm going to send you a copy of my books. My last book, The Survival of the Richest. I mentioned earlier some of the things it talked about, but part 3, I actually connecting survivalism to finance, to economics, to biology. Herbert Spencer's concept called the survival of the fittest, which Charles Darwin embraced, playing on that term. There was a chapter 37, The Evolution of Evolution, in that book, where I connected two kinds of selection that I created, monetary selection and technological selection. And basically, money is evolving to the point where evolution itself might be evolving. I know it's kind of hard to explain. There's a lot more to that, and if we don't make some decisions quickly, we're either going to have to adapt and become cyborgs to the highest degree, or become gorillas in a zoo to something much higher than us. There's really only a couple of choices, and then the question comes down to when. So, I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think with the current state of affairs and what as we've all experienced, I think it's coming quicker than you can really get your head around. But I have a question for you, actually, and I don't know that chapter, but I just wanted to ask you, survival of the fittest used to be the opportunity on the planet, the biggest, the strongest, the one with the better weapon, and all that kind of stuff that survived, like an ape. Let's just talk about that. But what if I was weaker, smaller, didn't have the bigger axe and survival skills? However, I had access to AI to actually be able to pattern where prey is and be able to like send a drone to tell me where to go. I will beat the caveman.
Yeah, you just
stronger.
You just proved one of my conclusions. And I argued that it's not about survival of the fittest. We don't need to be the tallest species. Giraffes are, they take that role. Why are we ahead of them? We don't need to have the biggest brains. Whales got the biggest brains, and yet we're here and we're the ones in control. We don't need to be the strongest. We don't have to be as strong as a gorilla. We don't have to have any of that stuff, actually. As a fact, it's really comes down to, and from my perspective, I'm biased, but I believe this to be the truth, that you just need to be the survival of the richest, and not the richest itself, because there are people who are rich. What wealth does, it gives you that option. Not everyone will exercise that option properly. The richest people who use their options wisely, they're the ones who will actually prosper the best. And so survival of the richest, according to the way I argued, actually not only displaces the concept of survival of the fittest, it is the new measuring stick for how to survive and prosper. Because if you have all the right technology, and I even define technology in that book, it's the last improvement of our wealth for a specific thing. If you have that technology, you can do anything. So with the right technology, your wealth, you can be anything in any form as long as you use it properly. But yeah, I don't want to get too deep in that, Cherie. This is
Oh,
totally
that's
your
interesting. No, I love it. It's
interview.
fascinating. I'm going to get your book. I mean, that's like such more layers deep than the average bear thinking. But
Musk needs that book. Elon Musk, he really, because people like him are controlling our world right now. And he's on the right, in my opinion, I like Elon a lot. I think he's one of our leaders that gets the scientific part of it. But there's an extension to that I really feel like, and that's what maybe we were talking about earlier, Cherie. How do you go from getting a bunch of knowledge to the masses? It's just too complicated. I can't even take a page of that and teach that to people. They'll be bored by the end of my second sentence to the average person.
yeah.
Just and we don't have enough time. And that was actually the title of my last part. Timing's running out. And all the major scientists have said this over the past 100 years. Time is running out. You'll hear it. I quote 3 major scientists in different periods over the past 100 years, including Arthur Kessler. And they all said the same. And now we're at this tipping point where, like, metaverse and, everything we said will come true. And you work for IBM. Look what they called out 30, 40 years ago.
I know.
Like, time is
Wild.
running out. We've got to riddle this riddle right now.
I know. And one of the key factors of being a human is to have internal peace and internal, like, the happiness, because you can have your tech and you can have all the brilliance and all the money in the world. Sometimes they're the most miserable people because they don't have their internal. They didn't do things to deposit soul things inside. So they're actually really empty dead man walking, even though they have all the stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So I think I would add one more aspect to that is, when you help another person, help an animal, fix something, make something better, I feel like that's a deposit inside. So you know who you are. So even if everything crashes down, I'm still this person. I know who I am. You cannot take that away from me. See, I think that's where a lot of people miss that part of growth. And they don't understand it's like depositing in the bank. So like when I go to like you went to the camping, if you take away beautiful sounds of the birds and the bugs and all the things that you identified in the morning, if you don't take the time to deposit that, it's just an event like you watch on Netflix.
Yeah.
So I actually asked for permission to bring it in, build up my inner person with these great experiences. So yeah, this is how we're going to war against spiraling. Do you know even bees have a different dance now? Things are vibrating at a higher frequency, like the whole world, because it's living, right? It actually is on a different frequency than in the past. So like there's something happening even on the planet, even with the animal kingdom. Everything's going fast. But AI for good. I still believe in it. I still am a believer.
Well, Cherie, I appreciate you going down this long rabbit hole. And I know that the two of us can probably talk about this for days, not even just hours. But yeah, so I thank you, Cherie. We got a lot of more great questions for you, just to make proper time. Figure about 1 minute to 2 minutes each.
Sure.
And some of these you'll like the next one, for example. I think you'll appreciate. Would you ride a motorcycle on the moon?
Would I, if I could? Yes, because it's never been done.
Well, they had the ATVs on there, I think.
How much moon dust gets kicked up? I just have to make sure I have good filtration. Yeah. I don't know what dust has, what amoebas are in there or whatever little particles that are not good for me. But Yes, I would do that.
Thank you, Cherie. All right. Why is self-education so important?
Because you are your own universe. So you have to keep learning or you start dying. I really believe it's that important. It's just like people that retire, 6 months later, they have a heart attack. No purpose. No, you got to, just like a muscle, you have to work it out. Work it out.
And Cherie, you mentioned 6 months. That's very, very funny. I actually, so I was a retirement specialist for Vanguard. You also talked about Blackstone. When I came out of college, that was at that time it was the largest investment company in the world, and I noticed that trend too. Like the people I would talk to all day long on the headset, they wouldn't be calling again 6 months later. When as soon as they retired, a lot of them, and even as a financial planner afterwards, I noticed that thing. Same process. I don't know what it is. They just cut their spirit out, and they had nothing to live for.
Yeah, I think you have to. Your muscles will atrophy if you only go to the gym and look at them.
Yeah.
Look at all those weights. That didn't make you do anything. So your brain is even more so. Keep it pliable. Keep looking and thinking, even if it's not in your comfort zone. That's what I love doing. I love learning about things that people, I would initially say, no way, you're off your rocker. And then I'm like, but wait, what if? See, that I think is the beautiful space of imagination. So like what you spoke about to me about survival of the fittest, I've never even thought of that before. So now I'm intrigued. Now I'm going to buy your book because that is fascinating for my brain to be in another space. Self-education is everything.
Thank you, Cherie. By the way, when you start your journey, and take your time, there's a lot of crazy concepts in there. I know you will love it, but I start everyone on the necessity of finance first, so you can see how I started to evolve in thought to get to those later arguments, and then the most important lessons in economics, and then build your way to the survival of the richest. And if you look on the covers of each of these books, you'll see a survival quote from those books. And we were talking about this earlier, that kept intriguing me, why I keep thinking like that, which led to me walking down that rabbit hole for several years. It was a very, very intense experience. All the studies of, I even went into genocide. I got a whole segment on that, some of the history of genocides, and you'll see the connection of why I did that when you read it in here. But that genocide trip, that was the deepest of them all, because I had to look at pictures of some of the crazy stuff that happened to humanity. And I went on a spiritual journey for 5 days. I didn't eat, and I put it in the dedication page. I just drank water, and just as something to do, some kind of sacrifice for all those people. I mean,
that's and bless you for having them not be forgotten.
Yeah.
But I would challenge you in that book, because it sounds deep, to get a flip chart imagery and one-liners to get the essence on the big message. It's a really good exercise. It's what we did with the golf program to get to 10 million children. If you did not simplify it, how many people can really get it in their soul? So we'll talk offline about that. But I think
even Mark Victor Hansen, he looked at that book. He texted me the next day. He goes, "Tony, this is brilliant, but you got to break this down in the book." So Mark Victor Hansen, the #1 nonfiction bestseller of all time, he's telling me, you got something here, but you've got to break this down. Now you got to understand, folks, when I wrote those books, I was an academic.
Yeah.
I do mark, like, everything I've brought to this, to the past couple of years, is because I've also learned to be an expert marketer. I didn't have that skill set before. I realized I needed to become that. So knowing what I know now, yes, my next book is going to be the dumbest book ever, like super simple, stupid. I mean, it's going to be like 100 pages, but it's going to have something very intelligent in it It's just going to be done in a completely different format.
Adoptable way, not
Yes,
stupid,
thank you.
adoptable way.
Yeah.
So like your books up there are all IP. It's your brain,
Yeah.
right? But am I able to get your brain and implement it in my life and recall
Yeah.
like a trigger? Well, Dr. Finance tells me, duh. So like a guideline, like Sharon has for a business. Don't even start a business unless you solve a problem, serve a need. Well, you know that Sharon's written sold 36 million books, dollars worth of books and stuff. She's got a lot of content. Every stage she gets on, solve a problem, serve a need. Solve a problem, serve a need. That's her little mantra or go-to. So when I'm vetting companies to even invest, are you solving a problem, serving a need? But she's programmed me that I can recall that's sticky. So yeah, we'll talk later about that, but yeah, those are like patents on those walls, right?
That's my fire. All right, thank you. Appreciate that, Cherie. So Cherie, you're doing great here. Figure about a minute or less for each of these questions. What are your main qualities that help you become a cancer survivor? You think you can sum that up in 30 to 60 seconds?
Faith, grit, and hope to continue my journey until I feel like I've completed it. I didn't want to get cut off short because I don't feel complete yet. I'm still on the journey. I'm still a servant. And I chase one trophy. And that is when it's all said and done to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. So I have not reached that peak. So grit, tenacity, warrior, all those things.
Would you say the will to live? Because that was one of the skill sets that most survivors that I studied always seem to bring up, the will to live.
Will to live for a purpose, though, not
Right,
will
right.
to live because I love just breathing air. The will to live attached to the utility, like a utility of this is where I think I'm adding value on the planet. So the will to live was to complete my journey.
That's brilliant. I like it. Thank you, Cherie. All right, next question is, so let's talk about Lisa Copeland and Sharon Lechter. I know you're great friends with them, and I want to give them a play, so I even dedicated a whole question to them. So,
Wow.
how did you become great friends with the pair?
Well, excuse me, Lisa lives in Austin, or did live in Austin. So we have a group of, we call ourselves a tribe, but it is the most incredible tribe of business women, many pioneers, many insanely successful women. When we get together, we have about 5 minutes of fun talk, which is dumb talk. Oh, look, you got a Versace thing, whatever, normal talk. And then we go straight into business. Every time we get together, it's like masterminds. And we're doing it with a little cocktail in the party. Did you get that thing lifted off? And how'd you get that marketing going on? So our tribe has lifted each other up for me, it's been 19 years.
Wow.
Yep. And
you've been involved with them, with that circle for 19 years?
Yeah. Wow. We're like a pretty tight group, and they're all growing and innovating, and Lisa's taking over the world of EXP, and Sharon's on Lisa's team. So we met Sharon at I was speaking for the USPTO as a female inventor on stage. And, Lisa, we were just connecting, and Lisa's like, oh, Sharon Lechter is so cool. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, are you going to meet her? We're all nervous. And Sharon could not be a more gracious human being, a more friendly, brilliant lady. And so that's how we met. And then, of course, then the chemistry's there, because why? We're actually talking about business and growth and helping people and making money. So she's like one of our girlfriends, if you will. Like we would call her and FaceTime her if she couldn't be with us when we had a party and stuff.
So you and Lisa met Sharon at the same time at that event?
I think we knew of Sharon at the same time. And okay. Lisa is she gets her goal. and they have turned into best of friends.
Yeah.
Besties. And it's so cute, their relationship. They lift each other up, they support one another. And Sharon and Lisa has a lot to contribute too, because she's in a different space and a different passion, but all the wisdom that Sharon has, it's pretty explosive when they get together.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, Cherie. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Should we spoil our children? 30 to 60 seconds. You know, and let me preface that question. So there's people out there that just give their kids anything they want. And so most of the time it's because they just don't have the answer to what to give them, and they're doing something. They're too busy. So here, take this iPad, go watch whatever you want. I'll see you in a few hours. Here's my cell phone. Here's your own cell phone. You know, so I'll see you when I get back from school. You know, eat your lunch, but here's your cell phone while you're doing it. What's your thoughts?
No, the only thing that you ever remember with your parents is when you did something with them, when you had an experience human to human. And in fact, your energy actually picks up their energy. So the spoiling, if you want to call that, I'd call that completely destroying, not spoiling. Destroying.
Yeah, that's actually what spoiling means. If you look it up in the definition in Merriam, it says to damage something.
Yes.
We use it too loosely, but when you look at that definition, it really puts it into perspective. What are we saying? And you can't even joke about it, because when you look at the definition like that, you're like, geez, damaging our own kids, spoiling our kids. They start thinking twice about that joke all of a sudden now.
Well, what's the greatest gift you can give anybody?
Life.
Time. Sometimes that's a good thing, but time.
Time, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So when you actually have close proximity in time,
yeah,
it imprints them. But if you tell them to go watch a Netflix, you're busy, here's popcorn, here's your iPad, go watch Netflix. Have you spent any time with them? Is there anything that's imprinting? Well, how was the movie? Fine. Nothing. Destroyed, in my opinion, utterly destroyed. Be close to the person you love and spend time and make them. I have a 10-year-old granddaughter. I knew a very interesting thing. We went to Lowe's picking out flowers. I'm being the boss lady, so I'm picking out, what do you think of this? So I think I'm including her. What do you think about this one? She's like, pretty. What about this one? Yeah, I like yellow. What about this one? Okay. I'm spending time. I'm close to her. She's not engaged. So then I said, okay, I picked out my 3. Your turn. What? No, your turn. You asked me. You pick them out. You asked me if I like them. I already did my 3. I flipped it so quickly because I could see that she was not engaged.
Right.
So now she's got sweaty palms. She's nervous. She picks one up. She looks at me. Guess what? She remembers going with Graham Bear, that's my name, to Lowe's to pick out flowers together. And she talks about it all the time. So they have to be a participant, not just an observer.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Cherie. Appreciate that. Welcome. And Cherie, just want to add to that. It takes a high level of emotional intelligence to be able to figure out the strategy that you just came upon to flip that table, and energy too. And most people, unfortunately, may not have that capability.
Why do you
so
think
they
that
just
is?
keep going with it, and nothing was engaged, nothing was actually accomplished because they couldn't figure out how. You just simply need to let them get more active into this discussion.
Yeah, but why do you think that is? Why do you think people don't think like that? This is 19 years of teaching young people. You had the bigger people.
Yeah.
But
bigger kids.
Yeah, you had the bigger kids. I had the
81-year-old kids.
Yeah, you had the bigger kids. But
Yeah.
I believe it's because they're too into self.
Absolutely.
I have an agenda. I have to hurry. I have to make dinner. Okay, Susie, do you like this flower? Okay, I pretend that I'm part of, got part of her life. No, right? So when you step out of self, how does it feel like for that person? My granddaughter, her name's Scarlett. How does she feel going around in my buggy and me picking out stuff? Bored, right?
Yeah.
But I had to step out of self, and what's it feel like for her? Guess what that works with? Marketing. It's never about you or your products, it's about them, right? It's about how they perceive and they absorb and they adopt. You've got to get over there if you're going to be in the marketing. What is it for them? Not what's in it for me.
Thank you, Cherie. Appreciate it. Brilliant response.
Thank you.
Should wealthy people retire? maybe
If
30
you
to
want to
60.
die, if you want to die quickly, leave it to the kids. No, as soon as you retire, you get tired. Say, retire, tired. So
Mhm.
I've been trying because I actually thought I would have another cause. Okay, more on a not business where I have to have all the parts, enjoy it, but no retire. No, I mean, only if you have ailments and you need to calm down a little bit. But even then, you can engage your mind and be a high functioning human,
Mhm.
even if you're in a wheelchair. Keep going.
Thank you, Cherie. Cherie, we're going to get into temple questions. These are questions I asked to everyone from Sharon Lechter to Les Brown to two-time Super Bowl champions. Let's see. We're going to start with the first one. Can one book change the world? Maybe 30 seconds or so.
Yes, if it's read and adopted.
Thank you, Cherie.
Adoption.
It's got to be adopted. It's got.
Adoption.
No, you're using the word adoption. Can you also use, and this is the biology part that I was studying, the adaption, like to adapt to something.
No, adopt isn't taking it in. It's in me. It's part of my thing. It's
Okay.
adapt is modifying behavior to adapt into a different outcome.
Oh, so okay. You're talking about coming in, kind of like inspiration, where it comes from within versus motivation comes from external.
Yeah, but when you adopt,
Mhm.
like adopting a child, you love that child sometimes like a natural child, you adopt. It's in you. You'll protect it with all your
Gotcha.
life. Yeah.
Okay. So they have to actually adopt it to make it work.
To be effective where you can observe the differences.
Yeah. Thank you, Cherie. Appreciate that. Cherie, what role has networking played in your life? Maybe 30 seconds.
I'm going to call it tribe again. You cannot survive without network. You are a fish out of water, floundering around with no one to kick you back in the water. It's a must.
So a broke musician, let's say the next Michael Jackson, standing on the corner right now, and he's singing his song, but he can never get anywhere without finding that right person or people to bring him to the Michael Jackson that we know of.
That perfect analogy and story is Rod Stewart's story. He's in the subway singing.
Oh,
His network, a person in the system discovered and brought him to light. And look at where he is now. Yes.
brilliant.
Rod Stewart, my favorite.
Yeah, Rod, I love Rod. I painted a whole house one time. I tell you, I was in real estate. I painted a whole house to Rod Stewart. It took 3 days, and I only had one cassette in the radio. It was Rod Stewart, so I
Is
just
that
kept flipping it
funny?
around.
He's so cool though, right? He's so cool. My sister was in rock and roll for 27 years. She was with the band The Cult. We did Motley Crue, Billy Idol, Guns N' Roses, Phil Collins, all the bands. So music's a big thing.
Wow, thank you, Cherie. All right, Cherie, is mentoring important? As an extension to this question, who are some of your mentors?
Oh, my mentors, you can't live life without mentors. I don't even care if it's just how to raise a child or how to start a business, or mentors are your breath and your encouragement. You've got to have the pioneer that has done it. Now, there's a lot of mentors out there on Facebook and oh my gosh, right? Clubhouse, hello.
Everybody.
But they don't know what they're talking about. They've not done it. See, they've not done it. And so that's where the wisdom and the pioneer that's gone through trailblazing looks back, has the light up and says, come on, this way, right? You have to have a mentor that actually has been there, done that in that same space that you want to get to.
Thank you. Brilliant, Cherie. Appreciate that. All right, Cherie. Who are some of your mentors? Did you mention that already? I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Now you.
Stop it.
I'm serious. I think you're so brilliant. Okay, Sharon Lechter, Damon John, Lisa Copeland, my tribe, my whole tribe. But Andrew Heller, he was Steve Jobs' former best friend. He went PC. Andrew
Oh,
Heller.
you worked with them, him and Damon John too?
Andrew Heller's a friend of mine, and he
Oh,
was
okay.
Steve Jobs' former best friend.
Wow.
So like I get a lot of really interesting black hole discussions with Andrew Heller and quantum and everything, vacuums and I know. So I like those people, but also spiritual. I've got some people that are dialed in spiritually. I have Blackfoot Indian me. We're very connected to the creation. Is just too beautiful to have haphazardly happened by accident. So I'm dialed in with that too. So
That's awesome. Thank you, Sharon. By the way, Damon John, he would be great to have on Clubhouse as a guest. When I first came to Clubhouse, he was in several of the rooms, but then he kind of went away a little bit. So maybe that's something.
he got tired of it.
Yeah, he got tired of it. Yeah, I want to bring him back though. I want him to see what the new Clubhouse is all about.
He and Grant Cardone would go at it and have fun. Like sometimes Clubhouse at the beginning is 2 a.m. I would be listening to this, but not like attentive. I'm like sleeping, listening. And I'd be here and I'd hear Damon talking and Grant's like, I'm just going to buy that house that you're living in.
I remember those conversations. Yeah, with Grant on there, and they would talk for hours about just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, you can't get this on TV.
No, I know. And it's so good though. But I am a big fan of Damon John. I just am.
Thank you, Cherie. All right, Cherie, just a few more questions left. What are your favorite financial books, if any? And that includes money books, business books, investment books. They seem to pile it all together.
I do books on tape. So there's so many of them, but honestly, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, come on. Think and Grow Rich. That's the whole money mindset. Things like they're pretty classic, but I've actually gone through Sharon Lechter's courses too on money. So it's been very illuminating just to remind. Sometimes it's stuff but are you actively doing what you know, especially with finances and investment for me? Because as a woman investor, there's some things you have to know, right? You can't just go do stuff and throw money down. So I like to have, and Sharon's latest book, right? Exit Rich, the 6 Ps.
Oh yeah, awesome book. I had Michelle Seiler on here.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, I'm all about that stuff. So like those are my favorites. But you're going to hear Sharon Lechter a lot from me because she is that much of a superstar. So
she is, absolutely. And I did a lot of thought when I chose my own mentor, and I said, well, who's the best that I can get along with? And that's how I ended up with Sharon. I mean, I'm glad that I made that decision. She really, I don't think there could have been any person better than choosing her, because she's just the right soul too. Like her heart is in the right place.
Yep, that's exactly right. She has the attachment of, when I fell in love with Sharon Lechter, she posted on something on Facebook and she has her arms outstretched with the ocean. Okay?
Oh, really?
Anybody that understands to give the ocean a hug, is my people. Because I'm like,
Sharon, we gotta share this video with Sharon when she gets back from her trip. We've been giving you a lot of free plugs lately, Sharon.
Oh, because we love you.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Thank you, Cherie. All right, Cherie, next question. Do we need money to survive?
Yes. Until we get back into seashells and saying bartering systems always, it doesn't matter what it is. It's like, yes, we call it money. But now there's crypto and blah, blah, blah. So anything to buy and sell and trade with, yes. And the more you have, the more you can grow, and the more you can actually solve problems that are out there. You can't feed the hungry if you don't have money. You can't help the elderly. You can't raise up a child properly. It's harder. So money, you don't care if it's like, again, seashells on the island. I got the prettiest and the most. I'm going to get the best hut. It's all the same stuff, right?
All right, Cherie, as an extension to that, is finance necessary? I'm talking about the subject of the science of finance.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yes. You and Sharon Lechter, financial literacy is the most crippling, lack of discussed subject in humanity, I think. And it's only those who poke their head up and have a look around like, should I know more? Or do you just be this hamster wheel on this thing and you get a job, go into cubicle, make money, put money on a house, retire, die? Like, come on. How can they not teach financial literacy? Like, it's a big part of their life, right?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Great response, Cherie. Cherie, how important is having a purpose in business, and what is your purpose?
So purpose in business is what will keep you alive and motivated when you don't have the money.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes the business does not pour money out at you just because you have a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to keep you in the game? Purpose.
Mm.
My purpose was to solve comfort and dignity with Healincomfort. And they can follow me on Twitter on that, but Healincomfort, my whole purpose, and every day I'm reminded of this great purpose when I have people thanking on the phone. The solution is a soulful solution, not just a physical product. And, so it has to happen. Otherwise, you might as well just sell shoelaces. You make money. You have no soul attached to it. Yes, you've made money. Okay, big deal. Anyways, those people that don't have the passion and the purpose will end up being broke anyways.
Cherie, if you can condense your purpose into less than, in one sentence, less than one sentence or less, how would you say my purpose is? Could you do it?
My purpose is to leave the campsite cleaner than when I came.
There you go. That's what I was waiting for. Your favorite line. You haven't said that in 2+ hours. Oh my gosh. Crazy.
We've had some subject matters come by our brains.
All right, Cherie, 2 more questions and we're done. What would you like to accomplish in the next 10 years or so, and why?
I want my RAS 99 on the planet Earth to help solve the confusion, the frustration, and the loneliness of cancer, to help solve that. That is a big, big deal for me. The next thing that I'm going to do, which I'm currently doing still, is like giving back to our youth. Be that person that motivates them, encourages them, lifts them up, and makes them believe that their brilliant ideas need to come out of their head onto paper and give it a go. Don't be afraid. Don't feel self-conscious. Like, many ideas fail. I mean, look at Tesla, right? I mean, like, come on, some of our biggest inventors failed 90% of the time. 10% that they came through changed the world. So don't be afraid of failure. So that's what I want to do. I want to encourage the average bear to get their ideas, because I believe everybody's an inventor, out of their head onto paper, make a prototype. That's kind of like my secret mission on this planet.
Thank you, Cherie. Last question. What would you like to be your legacy to this world?
I guess I'd like to be known as a problem solver. Just never stopped inventing. Grandma never stopped inventing. She wore us out with her solutions. I'm the solution lady.
That's awesome.
I'm an inventor. I call it invent, and then capital H, her, invent her. There's not a lot of female inventors.
I like it. I like it, Cherie. Thank you. And Cherie, I just want to conclude. I want to thank you for coming on here today. It's an honor to have you here, Cherie. Incredible amount of knowledge was dropped today, and I appreciate you for being here. Looking forward to doing a lot of things on Clubhouse. We've already shared probably hundreds of stages. We just had to find that right opportunity to make this work. So appreciate you being here, and I'd like to leave the floor to you. Anything else we haven't covered that you'd like to show or talk about? The floor is yours, Cherie.
Yes, well, I'd like your viewers, because you're the money guy, the finance, is if they can follow me on, let's say, Twitter, if they have it, it's just Healincomfort. Maybe it's in the notes, I'm not sure. Because when I announced that we're doing the crowdfunding, it's a little minimum ask to be part of the whole adventure of what we're lifting up and helping humanity with. So just follow me on LinkedIn, it's just my name. And then Twitter is Healincomfort, and that's also, Instagram and all that. But come on into our Clubhouse room with Dr. Finance. I'll be on there, and learn, and just have a better day than you had yesterday. That's really the goal is, and how many people can you bring along with you? How many people can you help? Right?
That's brilliant. And Cherie, I was just checking the date. So folks, Friday, August 19th at 7 to 9 p.m. We have our main guest speaker coming, is Lisa Copeland. It might change, but right now that's the date that we got set. And Cherie's going to be co-hosting. Sharon Lechter will most likely be there. So we'll
maybe
have a whole
Elaine
crew,
Cardone.
possibly Grant Cardone's wife, Elena Cardone, and so many other people, folks. Every Friday night, you never know who's going to show up on stage. By the way, Cherie, somehow I think we lost the recording to
Oh.
last Friday's event. There was a glitch in Clubhouse. That's my guess, because it happened in Breakfast with Champions. And yeah, so but most 99% of the time that never happens. But yeah, folks, so if you want to see the live version, that's your best bet. Make sure you're there. And we might have some other major events being scheduled in the future too, with Cherie co-hosting as well. So stay tuned. That's all I can say. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Follow and grow. Let us take you with us, and let's just celebrate doing good things on this planet. AI for good.
Yeah, I forgot. I like that. That should be your slogan. I like that. Wow.
Somebody already has it.
Oh, you do? Okay. Somebody has it already?
Oh yeah, like almost everything under the sun, right?
Yeah, right. All right. Any that's it. Sharon, any last minute concluded
Well,
thoughts?
obviously, I'm incredibly humbled and thankful, and I've enjoyed this podcast. One, getting to know you even more. I have nothing but respect for your vision. I think your big IP brain that's on that wall over there needs to come out in smaller bits, and maybe I can help. I'm good at that. But I just want to thank you. I'm humbled, I'm thankful, I'm grateful, and I'm blessed to be here and for you to be so kind to give me this time and this platform to share my journey on this planet so far.
You deserve it. Thank you, Cherie. Appreciate that. Cherie, what is your website address, and where are your social media platforms, if you want to tell us about it?
Oh, okay, so thank you. So the website is just healincomfort.com. That's good enough. Everything else can lead there. And then, LinkedIn is my name, Cherie B. Mathews. And then Twitter, which if we had more time, I'd tell you the craziest story with Jessica Simpson on Twitter. It was like one of the first people to tweet something, and it was all over the world. I had people in Japan saying, "Did you know you're on Twitter?" It came to Japan. I'm like, "What? Oh my gosh, what is this Twitter thing?" But it's just Healincomfort, at Healincomfort. And then that way I can post when we've gone public for potential investment. So if you're a new investor, this might be a really great thing. It's a noble cause, and we're going to grow your money projected at 100x. So yes, that's a bold statement, but
wow.
with the SaaS program, you can do it.
Thank you, Cherie. Appreciate that. All right, folks, we're going to conclude. Cherie, if you don't mind hanging out in the green room as soon as it's over, I'd like to walk you out. So thank you, folks. Appreciate you being here. Dr. Anthony Criniti IV, also known as Dr. Finance, and you've been watching the Dr. Finance Live podcast with Cherie Mathews, folks. Definitely check her out at the social media sites and her website, as mentioned before. Also, check out the website, drfinance.info. Subscribe to the newsletter that I have posted there, drfinance.info, and confirm. I only do it about probably once a month at this point, so I keep it very simple, no spam. I don't like the spam newsletters. But also check out the books as well. My 3 major books are The Necessity of Finance, my first book I wrote for my students over 10 years ago, then The Most Important Lessons in Economics and Finance, 218 principles, time-tested throughout thousands of years. Hopefully it'll last thousands of more. And then that led to The Survival of the Richest, my last book about this thick, connecting survival to finance, economics, biology, and some tips on how to save the world in there. So folks, appreciate you being here. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to every platform that you're listening this to. This will be on YouTube and all the other major podcast directories. Also, don't forget to come check us out in Clubhouse. As of this time, I'm running rooms every Friday night for over a year now with main guest speakers that are major guest speakers with great hearts. billionaires, Hall of Fame speakers, #1 New York Times bestsellers, you name it, they're coming through. And we're going to connect the dots back to finance with that. So thanks again, folks. Appreciate you being here and see you on the next episode. Bye-bye now.